everybody, I hope you're well and enjoying the new year. A couple of videos back I asked you to ask me some questions for a Q&A, and so I've compiled the list together and I'm going to answer some of your questions now. Amy asked, do you ever get homesick when on long trips, and if so, how do you overcome this? Honestly, no, I don't get homesick. I think that's partly due to how my mother's raised me. She sort of raised me to not get homesick when I leave the house and not crave home that much. I do miss things from home, like I miss my bed, I miss all the food that you can get in England, but yeah, I wouldn't say I get homesick as such. I think if I was starting to feel homesick, I would just try and make myself as busy as possible and doing the things that make me happy and like just trying to live in the moment as much as possible. Some people say, oh yeah, you need to Skype home to feel less homesick, and it's like, nah, I think that's gonna make you miss home more. Also, hey, it's Holly07 asks a very similar question. Do you have any times of doubt or when you don't feel like carrying on? If so, how do you get through it? Traveling isn't always gonna be absolutely perfect. Sometimes things aren't going to go your way and you're just going to be like, oh. My tip would just be to keep going. If you don't like a particular place, move on, because that can completely change your mood just being in a new location. I mean, if you really hate it, then obviously go home. Backpacking is fun, but it isn't for everyone. Jimmy Teresa Healy, how did Backpacking Bananas come about? On one of your older videos, it seems that it was you and a group of friends, but now it is solely you. Yeah, so I created this channel, I think is 2008 or something, when I was a young teen and just watching YouTube videos, and like I'd try and make my own crappy little videos. So the channel's been here a long time. It was called Rizzo Brush, and then when I went traveling with two of my friends in 2013, we decided that we were gonna make videos, document the trip, and like literally just at the top of our heads we were like, oh, Backpacking Bananas, because it was like an alliteration and all that. That's literally all it is, just a random name. Then after we finished the trip, I just really wanted to carry on the channel. I really liked the idea of having this YouTube channel, sharing my adventures, helping other people who are wanting to do the same thing. So I kept going. My friends weren't so fussed about keeping it going, and so yeah, now it's just me. Okay, so we've got three similar questions. Next one's from Carmel, Neroy, and Creative Basic. Okay. I was wondering, did you like school and did you stay on for A-levels or what? Carmel, that sounded so sassy. And did you stay on for A-levels or what? That's how I read it. Did you graduate from college, pushing it back a while? What's your background? What kind of environment did you grow up in, and did you finish school? So, my education goes up to A-levels. For A-levels, I did sociology, maths, and media. I really hated studying. I really struggled to read, and so like studying for me and trying to remember text is just really not fun. That was probably the main reason I didn't go to uni, because I just hated studying, and the thought of having to study anything else just made me want to be sick. But also, even if I didn't mind it, there wasn't actually anything in particular that I wanted to study. I got good enough grades, but I just really didn't enjoy it that much. I still don't feel the need to go to university. Every career that I think of possibly having in the future doesn't actually require a degree, and the job that I do to make money right now, which is not YouTube by the way, doesn't require a degree. I've got experience in it, I'm good at it. I mean, never say never. If something came up where I did suddenly want to do a university degree, then sure, why not, but I mean, I can't see it happening. Avery asks, what countries are the easiest for new backpackers? I want so badly to get into that type of travel, but I've barely left the US in my lifetime. I guess it depends on what you would find easy. If easy for you is being somewhere that's not too dissimilar from home, then I would recommend Australia and New Zealand and Western Europe, because you're gonna have a lot of the same foods, a fairly similar lifestyle and culture, so nothing's gonna be too unfamiliar. But then there's places like Southeast Asia, like Thailand for example, is so easy to backpack because first of all, there's so many backpackers there, and so you meet people so easily. There's hostels everywhere. The transportation to each of the backpacker hotspots is really easy. It's a cheap country, so you don't have to worry about your budget, but obviously there is a big culture difference with places like Thailand. So I guess you've just got to think, what is easy for you? What would you be comfortable with? Lifeguard2564, how has travel changed you? At the top of my head, I can definitely say I'm so much more confident. It's made me more proactive and less lazy. I'm wanting to make the most out of my time that I have. I think it's also taught me to be a lot more patient in a lot of ways. For example, just long journeys, or if you meet someone or find yourself traveling with someone who you really don't get along with. I think there is definitely more ways than that it's changed me, I just can't think of them right now. Whitney Armstrong asks, how did you go about finding jobs in Australia as a backpacker? I went through agencies, and also I got my regional work job through a workers wanted thing, which was attached to a travel desk at a hostel. One of my next videos coming up is about work in Australia, so keep an eye out for that one, and there'll be lots more details on that. Bethan asks, have you ever done any volunteering abroad? If you have, what was it like? I have. When I went to Tanzania in 2012, we did a week of volunteer work. We were living in the classroom of a school, and our purpose there was to build a wall and a fence at the front of their school to provide security. I found out at that time that my handy skills are not great. I was not of use to any of the African men or the other volunteers on our trip, so I took it upon myself to teach English to the children, and I was just playing games with them, and it was so much fun, and I absolutely loved it. Are you still trying to convince unwilling friends to venture out of their everyday life and travel like you do, or have you given up to make them have the same experiences? I don't think any of my friends are particularly unwilling to go travelling. I guess that's why I'm friends with them. I definitely don't blast about it into my friends' faces. Oh, you need to come here, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, if they ask me a question or ask for a bit of advice, I, of course, absolutely encourage them to go ahead with whatever they're thinking of doing. Beth, I currently have a YouTube channel, but it is beauty related. I now want to travel around the world writing my blog and filming travel-based videos. Any tips on how to start this? And Gracie Helps also asks, on my gap year, I plan to start a YouTube travel account. Do you have any advice? So very similar questions. Everybody starts in the same way, and that literally is just to book a plane ticket, book a trip, take your camera with you, any camera, and document it. Like, you've got to save up your money, of course, for the trip that you want to go on, and then just film whatever you want in whatever style you want. There's no right or wrong way to do it. All the travel bloggers out there sort of document their trip in a different way. I guess just start posting it on your channel, and if people like it, then they'll watch it. I noticed that people really started watching my videos when I gave advice to other travellers on my experiences, because this is the thing, people don't really tend to search for someone vlogging in a particular place. They'll search for tips of how they can travel that place. So if you're providing that video, then they'll find you on the search, subscribe to your channel, and then they'll watch all your other vlogs from there. That's kind of what's happened in my experience anyway. And I don't really know what else. I feel like I don't have the experience to give this kind of advice, because I'm not a full-time travel vlogger, but yeah, that's what's worked for me so far. I was just wondering where you thought was better travelling, Southeast Asia or Central America? Is Central America a lot more expensive than Southeast Asia? Central America is definitely more expensive. I wouldn't say it's a lot more. Southeast Asia is just crazily cheap. You're looking at sort of $5 to $7 US for a night's accommodation, whereas Central America, you're looking more sort of $8 to $12 US for a night's accommodation. So it's just sort of the next bracket up. I reckon I preferred Central America just because I really enjoyed learning Spanish, and I travelled solo there, so I was doing what I wanted. You're surrounded by ocean everywhere, and I'm a real water baby. Like, I love being in the sea and stuff, so that really suited me. I mean, you're surrounded by ocean in Southeast Asia as well. That was not a good comparison. I like both though. If you have the opportunity to go to both, I definitely would. Jessica Tilly asks, what have you been doing in Australia this time around, like when you were in Sydney and Cairns? So when I was in Cairns, I was doing my regional work, and when I was in Sydney, I was just temp working. I was just doing random reception roles and stuff. But yes, despite the fact that I was working full-time, it was still very fun. Like, living in a hostel is always really fun, especially since it was like a party hostel. And Sydney has so many nice beaches, and it's just a great city. Working full-time in Sydney is definitely just a really fun thing to do. And that is all the questions I have time for. I think this is already like a really, really long video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I answered your questions how you wanted. If you still have a question for me, comment them below, and I will try and answer them on my next banana Q&A, which won't be the next video. I'm not entirely sure what the next video is going to be. Shock horror. Subscribe if you haven't already. There's also Facebook and Twitter and Snapchat and Instagram, so go follow me on all of those if you want to keep up to date. As I said, don't know what the next video is going to be. Sorry about that, but whatever it is, I'll see you then. Bye!